I certainly hear your stories about how cold it is and the snow, and I was watching the news yesterday and the ice, and I know that it's bad weather for many of you, so I appreciate you being on, and it's certainly a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you to the Cotton Board for arranging this, and I hope that you're all wearing lots and lots of cotton so that you can stay nice and warm today. So what I'm going to do, for those of you who I know, it's so nice to see you, and for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, again, my name is Melissa Bastos. I'm the Director of Corporate Strategy and Insights at Cotton. I'm located in Cary, North Carolina, and we are not having all the ice and snow that you all have, but we are getting lots of rain here. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And today what I'm going to do is talk about, as we heard, hopefully you all can see that. Let me know if it's good.
Great.
Good. Okay. And so today we're going to, I'm going to talk to you about the division or the department and what exactly we do, but also just kind of focus on some of the consumer research that we do as well. So again, our name is Corporate Strategy and Insights Department. We do like to call that CSI for short. And that's not CSI, Miami or Las Vegas. It is CSI Cary, the Cotton Unit. And I say that jokingly, but at the same time, part of what we do here at Cotton is that we are, what we do within the group is really meant to analyze the markets for cotton and understand what is happening, what's going on, are there opportunities, are there challenges threatening cotton? And so our goal is really to kind of investigate, what's happening and share that information with, internally with Cotton Incorporated and the cotton industry as well. So we do guide and inform program activities here at Cotton with the research and analysis that we do. We also get over 100 information requests a year to really understand consumers and what they're doing, also the economics of the cotton fundamentals, and even retail, what's happening at retail. And we provide this information internally to our colleagues as well as externally. And we also take the information, we analyze it, and we put it into publications as well as presentations that we email out, that we send to people, and that we also present to them. Used to be in person, but now we do a lot of this type of presenting to brands, retailers, and manufacturers across the world. So are you all seeing my slides?
Yeah, we can see them.
Yes.
You can see, okay, and they're changing for you?
Yes.
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 Okay, so we talk and we really analyze three different areas of the market. First, the economics, and this area, we analyze cotton market fundamentals and imports of cotton goods. Actually, our senior economist, John Devine, he was on a Cotton Coffee last August. So he spoke to you about the area where he does the research, and we're not really going to focus on that today. The second area where we focus our work is really at retail, and we look at retailers to try to understand, first of all, cotton's presence in the products that they're offering, in the clothing that they're offering at retail, and also just to understand the retailers and their health. How are they performing and how are they doing? Because that's important for us to know, as these are partners for us that we work with to promote cotton products. So it's just to give you an example, if you look at the slide here, we look at the products that are being offered at retail on the sales floor, and we look at the detailed fiber content of those categories. And so you can see on the left side of the screen that is the percent of menswear containing the following fibers, including cotton, polyester, and rayon. And on the right side, you can see women's apparel containing cotton, polyester, and rayon for the past few years. And so what we try to understand is what is cotton's presence? And we look at this over time. How is it shifting and changing? So do we see any fibers trying to come in and take the presence of cotton or take some of our share away? And what are those fibers? So the main competition for cotton we can see is polyester and rayon. And we've definitely seen some increases in the rayon in the women's apparel in particular. You can also see that just in general, men's clothing tends to have a higher presence of cotton than women's clothing. So that's important information for us to understand and share with our colleagues throughout the company as we're deciding, what types of products we need to focus on for our research, but also for our promotions, because maybe we want to look at those with a challenge. There's a cotton challenge to focus on for our research, but also we want to promote those categories that have high cotton content when we're talking directly to the end consumer. Now, we also, as I mentioned, we like to keep up with retailers' health. How are they performing? And we've seen for a couple decades now that there's really been too much retailer floor space for too few consumer dollars in the US. So retailers have been undergoing some stress in the past several years, and certainly 2020 did not help with that. So we've seen over 11,000 apparel and fashion retailers close just in the past year, and that's several thousand more than we've seen in the years previous to that. So it's important for us to keep track of the retailers, how they're performing, especially when we're thinking about partnering with retailers. We want to make sure that we have strong partners, and we also want to make sure that this market is strong for consumers so that they can purchase cotton apparel. Now, the third area that we focus on in the CSI department is the consumer. We do a great deal of consumer research, really to study consumers' preferences, attitudes, what motivates them to purchase clothing, and their buying behaviors overall. Because this information is important for us to understand what is it they're looking for and that possibly we could be doing with cotton to entice the consumers to buy, but also what are the target market, which consumers should we be focused on when we're doing our advertising and our promotions? Those that are most receptive to cotton or need to be, maybe they're not buying enough cotton. So what I'll do is focus a little bit more on the consumer area here. And again, we do research throughout the year, both in the US as well as globally, to understand consumers' attitudes. The largest consumer markets in consumer markets for apparel would be the US and China. So it's important for us to be doing research in these areas to understand their buying behaviors. So we have research that we've conducted for more than 25 years now called Cotton Incorporated's Lifestyle Monitor. That's an ongoing survey where we study consumers' shopping behaviors and preferences, and this is in the US. And we also do a global lifestyle monitor study in conjunction with Cotton Council International. We work very closely with them on the research that we conduct internationally. So we study shopping behaviors and preferences. Are they checking the labels? What are they looking for when they're buying clothing? We also look at fiber preferences. What I can tell you is that cotton is the fiber that consumers are most aware of. 81% name it without even being asked, which fiber are you aware of? Cotton comes out first. And we also know that it's a preferred fiber among consumers. So we see that more than 8 out of 10 consumers prefer cotton for their clothing. And that's significantly higher than some of these other fibers that we can see on our chart as well. So we know that cotton is a good position when it comes to consumers, but we also know there's a lot of competition and they hear a lot of different messages that we need to be aware of. Also sustainability. This is a pillar for our company and has been for many years. We've conducted consumer research on sustainability for about 15 years now because we do hear sustainability being discussed more, and we have to understand, are the consumers aware of sustainability? Does it influence their purchases? Are they hearing negative comments about cotton? And does that ultimately influence how they feel about cotton? So we have to continue to study this and understand consumers' awareness. Also demographics, understanding men versus women. As you can see, in women's apparel, we see less cotton, but we also know women tend to buy more clothing than men. So it's important for us to focus on gender, on age, as well as generations. Gen Z is one in particular that we talk about knowing more about sustainability and being more interested. So it's important for us to analyze these different demographics. Also, we look at specific product categories. So of course, cotton is in so many different products, from denim jeans to intimate apparel to tops and pants. It's important for us to see what categories are the most important for cotton, or maybe being challenged, that we need to understand consumers and what they're looking for and how they're using this product. So we conduct research on products like denim. We're going to be conducting a survey with Cotton Council International later this year on denim. We also look at home textiles products because, of course, this is also an area where we see cotton going in an important market for consumers, especially during the pandemic during last year as consumers were spending more time at home. And even nonwovens. We work closely with our director of nonwovens, where she focuses on products like baby care, feminine hygiene products. We're doing a 9-country study with her right now to understand feminine hygiene products, and that information she will use to present to her market and talk about cotton opportunities in this market throughout the world. So we'll have that ready for her in the next month. Also, we look at trends. What are some of the trends happening in the US, but happening globally that may impact cotton or consumers' purchases of or desire to have cotton in their closets? So we'll look at some of these major trends, for instance, COVID-19, or even the shift to shopping online, or even working from home. So a lot of major trends have happened in the past year that have an impact on cotton and clothing. And also the seal of cotton. Again, we know that cotton itself, consumers consider it their preferred fiber, but they're also very well aware of the seal of cotton and that it represents cotton. More than 8 out of 10 consumers recognize the seal, and they relate brands and retailers who use the seal to being trustworthy and also caring for the environment. So it's actually a very important tool and something that we do research on so that we can share that with brands and retailers and partners that we want to work with to promote cotton, because we know that this is an easy identifier for the consumers when they're looking for cotton. So with that, I'm going to go in and just kind of talk to you about some of the research that we do. In this chart, I know you love numbers and I'm going to share lots of them with you today, but I'm going to try to explain how we use it, also what we see from the data. So in this slide, what we're looking at is what consumers most prefer to shop for. And this is looking globally. Again, it's a study we did with Cotton Council International, our global research. And you can see that about 35% of consumers tell us that they most prefer to shop for clothes. And next on the list is groceries and electronics. So that's great that they prefer clothes, 35%. But now if we look at this by country, and specifically if we look at the US, we don't necessarily see clothes come to the top of the list. What we see is about 35% of consumers actually say they prefer to shop for groceries in the US most, and then clothing comes next on their list for preferences to shop for. So it's important for us to kind of step back from our world of cotton products, denim jeans and sheets and bath towels, and understand what other types of products are consumers choosing to spend their disposable income on. Because we know cotton and cotton clothing and textiles have to compete with all these other categories that they're choosing to shop for. So when we see telephones and electronics take away from some of their clothing, that's important for us to understand what impact that will have on cotton on the clothing market. But what we see definitely is there's still a lot of consumers who enjoy and love shopping for clothing. And if we look at that actually in the US, even though we see groceries might be that what most consumers prefer to shop for, we still see a love or an enjoyment of shopping for clothing. So you're looking at a trend here for just over the past decade or a little more of the percent who say they love or enjoy shopping for clothing. And you can see it has increased some. It's kind of evened out here a little in the past few years. But if we look at this by gender, what you can see is that 62% of women say they love or enjoy shopping for clothing. And that was in 2008. And it's remained 62% in 2020, just last year. So it's remained steady that the majority of women do love and enjoy shopping for clothing, even though they may have a preference for shopping for groceries. And for men, we actually see a significant increase in the percent who have taken an interest in shopping for clothing. It's gone from 27% up to 45% who say they love or enjoy shopping. So this is an important statistic for us to understand. We have seen men take more of an interest. So that's important for us to share with the company internally, especially to the consumer marketing group. When they're focusing on the advertising and other types of promotions on the end consumer, we know that men now need to be included in that. And we have, over the past several years, included men to be about 30% of the target market for advertising. But what we also know is if we look at the total dollars spent on clothing, about 60% of those dollars are spent on women's clothing, where we also see a lower share of cotton content. So they are the focus. Women are the focus for clothing, but certainly we understand men enjoy clothing too. And we want to make sure that we're influencing everyone and making certain that cotton is top of mind and that it's the product they want to purchase. So I know you all are trying to stay warm now, and maybe you're wearing denim jeans. How many are wearing denim jeans? Think about your closet. How many pairs of jeans do you have in your closet? I know I have several, and like many Americans, I have a couple pairs that I don't even necessarily wear regularly because maybe they're the ones I'm hoping to get back into someday. But that's kind of typical for the US consumer. We have this love affair with denim jeans. But if you're looking at this chart, what we see actually is that about 55% of US consumers say they love or enjoy wearing denim jeans. And this category is really important for cotton because, well, it's a way for us, just the consumer in general, to be able to express ourselves. It's just a very traditional garment that we all love and enjoy wearing. And it's very heavy cotton content. Actually, I think the definition of denim includes the word cotton in it. So it's an important category for cotton. And it's important for us to study it. So knowing that US consumers 55% love or enjoy wearing denim, that's important because we also see categories like activewear coming in and taking some of this away, this love and enjoyment away from consumers, where they're choosing maybe to wear their sweatpants during this time or their yoga pants versus their denim jeans. But we know they're still important and we'll continue to study them. But let's look at some other countries. Actually, 71% of consumers in Mexico say they love or enjoy wearing denim. It's a very important category for them. Actually, they wear them 5 days a week. That's compared to about 3 for US consumers. And about 82% of consumers in Colombia say they love or enjoy wearing denim jeans. They wear them about 4 days a week. And it's a category that's very important to them. So overall, US consumers own about 6 pairs of jeans on average. That's about 9 pairs of jeans in Colombia. So while the US consumer loves them, we know that's a category that consumers all over the world actually enjoy wearing and using. But it's important for us to keep track of this category. We know there's a high cotton content in denim jeans, but we also know that there are other types of fibers out there trying to take the place of cotton in this category. So we have to work to maintain cotton's share here. And that requires us to understand what is cotton's presence, how is that changing, what fibers are coming in, and even keep track of what promotions are being done at retail. As you can see from this slide, this is a promotion that's currently going on at an H&M retailer. And they're talking about a new type of denim jeans that they're really trying to up their game for sustainability, and they're starting with their denim jeans. And it says on their website right now, denim, but no cotton. That's right. This jacket is made entirely from a man-made renewable cellulosic fiber blend of 50% Tencel lyocell and 50% Lenzing Ecovero viscose. So this is what we are seeing more of in the past couple of years. We definitely see that brands and fibers are trying to take the place of cotton. And I can tell you that cotton, because it's consumers' preferred fiber, because they're more aware of it, they're always using cotton as the benchmark to show how they are better, more sustainable, more comfortable, softer. So we always have to be diligent to see what are these promotions that could be damaging cotton in the consumer's eyes. So speaking of sustainability, I mentioned this is a very important category and a pillar for Cotton Incorporated, and we continue to work in this area. As a matter of fact, we're doing a study this year to update some consumer awareness and attitudes towards sustainability. In this slide, what you see is some work we did in our last study a few years ago, understanding the percent of consumers who say that they are concerned about sustainability. And you can see that in countries like China and Mexico, more than 9 out of 10 consumers say they're concerned. They also have a large manufacturing base and have exposure to some of this that makes them more aware of the environment. In the US, about 3/4 of consumers say that they are concerned about the environment. Now, in the past year, in 2020, we actually did some update to our research to understand, did the pandemic make any issues or cause any awareness of consumers to change? And we do see that in both China and the US, that about 65% of consumers say that they are more concerned about sustainability today than they were before the pandemic. Some of that is because of the news, where they could see that air pollution had decreased from everybody being stuck at home and not going anywhere, and that they were understanding that maybe even part of this was potentially part sustainability was causing this pandemic, which was said on the news several times. So I think some people are seeing more about sustainability and the environment. So some of the work we did was just to try to understand what issues are consumers most concerned about. And we see different topics that come up. Of course, water quality, ocean pollution, even climate change are the issues that kind of rise to the top. And these are specific to US consumers, but we see similarly for consumers around the world as well. This information is something that we would share with brands and retailers to help them understand what is it that the consumers are most concerned about, and these areas that they're most concerned about, and why are they concerned about them. And also it gives us the opportunity to talk about different research that's being done in these areas or things that we can do to help alleviate some of this concern for consumers. So for instance, microplastics pollution, ocean pollution, one that consumers put at the top of the list of concerns, is very important. But it's very important for cotton too to understand this market. Microplastics, those small plastics that are under 5 millimeters, I believe, that are showing up in the oceans and in the fish that we're probably going to eat for lunch today. These are the things that we should be aware of, because as consumers are washing their clothing, specifically their synthetic clothing, these microplastics are washing off into the water. And we've done work at Cotton Incorporated Technical Research in conjunction with North Carolina State University to understand if cotton is part of this problem or is it synthetics. And we see that cotton breaks down in these aquatic environments, whereas polyester does not. So this is important information for us to share with brands and retailers, because we can share that technical research and pair that with the consumer's awareness. As you can see from this chart, 31% of consumers say that they are aware of microplastics pollution. That has actually increased over the past 2 years. It was up from 17% who were aware. So the more news that's around this, the more information that's out there, the more consumers become aware of it. And 7 out of 10 of those consumers say that awareness could influence the purchases that they make, their clothing purchases. So we want brands and retailers to be aware of this, that consumers are concerned about it, and that we've done work to understand, cotton's position on this and how cotton biodegrades, whereas we see that synthetics do not. But as we study sustainability, as we understand the awareness is growing, the concern is growing, we also have to understand, how does that influence consumers' purchases? Does it ultimately make a difference when they go to the store to buy a new pair of jeans, a new t-shirt when they're shopping? So what we're looking at in this chart is what consumers tell us are their priorities when shopping for clothing. What is most important to them? And we know that fit, comfort, price, quality are really the things that rise to the top. Those are the main motivators when they're shopping for clothing. And everybody on this call is a consumer. And I think we all know that if something didn't fit, it wasn't within our price that we could pay for it, it wasn't comfortable, it doesn't matter how sustainable it is, we're not necessarily going to buy it. So this is an important point for us to understand and for CSI to share with the company, especially when we're promoting to consumers. It's important for us to know the awareness consumers have, to be able to talk about sustainability and give the positives from a cotton standpoint and this natural fiber that comes from a plant. It's important for us to be able to do that, but also to focus on those top priorities to consumers when they're shopping for clothing: the comfort, the style, the quality, and the price point that they're looking for. Because as you can also see from the chart at the bottom of the list, number 3, which is kind of their tertiary importance, areas of importance, is where sustainability falls. So they're not necessarily the first thing on their mind when they're shopping for their clothing, but we do know that the news, the increased conversation around sustainability is something we need to be aware of and figure into the work that we do. Now, the last area I'll kind of talk about this morning is COVID-19. I know we're all tired of hearing about this. It's been a year now, and pretty amazing to believe that we've gone through a year. But this, unfortunately, we're in a position where we had the ability to do some research very quickly, and we used this opportunity to talk to consumers starting back in March to see how this pandemic was affecting the way that they purchased clothing or their purchasing habits in general. And we tried to understand, what is their level of concern? So you can see from this chart that we've kind of tracked that concern through the different studies we've done throughout this time from March, April, September, November, and just at the end of December, our New Year's survey, we checked in on their concern levels. So we still see that not just almost 2/3 of consumers say they are very concerned about the pandemic. So with that concern, we know that they've chosen to be, staying at home a little bit more as they've had to, but also to save some of their money, not necessarily splurge as much as what they used to or buy as much as clothing as they used to as well. So that's certainly important for us to understand. But also we want to look forward. In our last survey, what we really wanted to do was say, okay, we know that a lot of consumers have taken this opportunity. They now work from home. A lot of people do work from home. They've chosen to wear leisure clothing or activewear, things that make them more comfortable being at home. But also we want to look forward. What are consumers seeing for the future? Are they positive? Do they think that we'll come out of this? And what do they see the trends being for the future? So what we do see is that about 84% of consumers told us that they're actually very hopeful that 2021 will be better than 2020. So that's definitely very positive. And most tell us that's because there's a vaccine available, but also more than 4 out of 10 say they're very hopeful for 2021 because they know they're going to get the opportunity to spend time with their friends and their family and be around people again, where they're going to have to wear some clothing, of course. So what we also ask consumers is, how long do they expect this to take? So I don't think anybody is believing that we'll be able to return to normal this time next week. They do see that it's going to take several months, and it'll probably be the fall before we start to be able to emerge a little bit more and come back to a sense of normal to be able to participate in activities that we want to. And also we ask them, okay, well, what types of activities are you looking forward to? Are you anticipating participating in when you're back to a sense of normal? And most consumers, 56%, said they really look forward to visiting their friends and their family and spending time with people. And a large share also look forward just eating out at their favorite restaurant. And so for that, 78% say, and in anticipation of being able to participate in these activities, they do plan to purchase a new outfit so that they can look good when they're going out and participating. And what types of clothing? They tell us 48% actually say they plan to buy a t-shirt, which is interesting because t-shirts have been one of the most popular items even throughout the pandemic that consumers find comfortable and versatile and that they want to be able to wear. And next on the list is a pair of denim jeans that they'll plan to buy. So we do see some positive attitudes coming from consumers, their expectations and what they want to do. And clothing is definitely part of what they're planning to do when they can return to a sense of normal. And as I mentioned before, I think what's most important to consumers right now and in the past year has just been this sense of comfort. They need comfort not only to be physically comfortable while being at home, but also there's emotional comfort that they've needed over the past years. One of our questions was, we found that more than 7 out of 10 consumers say they really just wanted to curl up in a comfortable, cozy bed because they just wanted everything to go away and the world to get back to normal. So this is important, comfort overall. And what we know from cotton and the consumer is that cotton equals comfort in the consumer's mind. So this is a very strange and horrible year for many, but at the same time, consumers are finding comfort in the fiber that we all love and enjoy wearing every day, cotton. So you can see from the chart that 8 out of 10 consumers say they actually prefer their clothing to be made of cotton. 85% say it's their favorite fiber to wear, and 8 out of 10 consider it to be the most comfortable and as well as sustainable fiber available. And also 75% say it's high quality, and we also see durable. About 65% consider cotton to be more durable than other fibers like polyesters and rayons. So we do see very positive attitudes from consumers when it comes to cotton. This is the type of information that we want to be able to share with the industry. Of course, we make people within Cotton Incorporated and the cotton industry aware that consumers are so positive toward cotton, but we also want retailers, brands, and manufacturers to know that this is what consumers, how they feel about cotton as well. So all of the research we do, all of the analysis, we want to be able to put this into publications. Also, we put it into videos that we share out. We email these out, we use them in our presentations, but this information about what trends are impacting consumers, but also where cotton is a great opportunity to use cotton to help answer some of these concerns and questions consumers have and want in their clothing. Also, the team, there's about 4 of us on the team that take this information out and present it. As I mentioned, John Devine, our senior economist, also Jimmy Rowe, Dr. Catherine Bruce, are managers within the group that present the consumer and retail trends and information to the industry. We also have a graphic designer who helps us with create these publications and helps us with our presentations as well, Mary Ann Tipton. So we have a large, a good team to get this information out. And in the past year, we've definitely been able to reach many consumers. Even though we weren't having one-on-one meetings, we were doing larger group meetings via Zoom. The presentations made it to over 25,000 recipients in the past year. What we find is that this information, the research actually has opened doors. When we do updated research on specific product categories, we found that our global supply chain marketing team has been able to get meetings with some hard to reach retailers because they are interested in hearing the consumer research and around their topics that they're and their products that they sell. Also, the research allows us to participate in conferences and webinars and even marketing events, because if we have this information that's of interest to the industry, we're able to get on these programs. Or even like Jana Regan, the nonwovens director, she'll be presenting this global nonwovens information in many different meetings throughout the next 6 months. And so it allows us to be on these programs, give them useful, insightful information, and also wrap in the cotton conversation and story around it as well. And it also helps us further the discussion, or it kind of leads into other areas of Cotton Incorporated work as well. We were in a meeting just a couple years ago in Mexico where we were talking about the plus size market. And also we brought up some Fabricast, the natural stretch, which led to new meetings with the staff in Mexico to be able to meet with this company to share with them our Fabricast line that they were able to use for their new market that they were interested in. And also it has led to increased meetings and also requests for information. We were presenting to a manufacturer in Asia, and they asked us to bring this information back to the US and present it to some of the retailers they worked with in the US, and specifically the sustainability message and where cotton fits into that. So the research we find has been very useful for us just strategically to help us inform and guide our programs, but also to share with the industry and consumers so that we can help get that cotton message out there and keep cotton top of mind to the end consumer when they're shopping for their clothing. So with that, that kind of finishes up my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, I don't see any.